Did you know that Cusco was the capital of the Incan Empire?
What's Cusco?
It's a city. Keep watching to learn about it.
Hi, welcome to Around the World with Joshua and Alyssa. And Alyssa's going to tell us some more about Peru today. So thanks for coming back. And what do you have to share with us?
I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the city of Cusco specifically. So let me show you some pictures today. I have a picture here of kind of overlooking the city from a statue that I'll show you a little bit later on. But just so you can kind of get a view for what the city looks like, it's kind of in a valley. And it's a very, very old city. It's been around for thousands of years.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a hub of the Incan Empire back in the day.
And the Incans built that building.
No, this would be more like the Catholics. But they have lots of plazas, and they're like areas where the roads will come together, sometimes in a square, sometimes in a circle. And it's just a place where people would gather to talk, or I'm sure there was business there at some point back in the olden days. Their streets are really interesting. They have a lot of old, like cobblestone kind of looking things to them, and then some of them are newer, but they've tried to keep them up and looking really nice. And most of their small streets, you can't get a car down. You could just take like a motorcycle or something like that and go down. But since it is like in the valley, some of the hills are built into the side of the mountain, so they do have some pretty steep roads like this. And here's some classic old mountainy look. They have a lot of these things in their mountains. Do you see like back behind it says Viva Peru, so like long live Peru. They have a lot of places like that that they'll carve out in the dust or the dirt or put rocks out there just because it's not green and just kind of like makes it a unique part of the city. So here's that statue I was talking about. The picture at the beginning was like a view from this statue, and that I'm the one sitting in front of the statue. The statue's behind.
Oh.
The statue is Pachacutec, who was an Incan emperor back in the day, and so being very famous, he's on a statue kind of in the middle of that traffic area in Cusco.
And being really famous, he posed really nice in front.
Thank you. And there are lots of other random statues too, so if you want to be a fun tourist, you can take a picture with him. He's a statue, he's not a real person. But these are real people. When we were walking around one day in Cusco, we saw these ladies dressed up in the traditional outfits of Peru, which is these skirts with layers and layers and layers of skirts underneath them to make them look kind of fluffy. And then depending on where they are, they have different kinds of hats. So this is their style of hat here in Cusco, but up in the mountains and another area of Peru, they have completely different hats. And if they have flowers on them, they mean one thing. If there's a ribbon on it, it means another thing. There's like all sorts of meanings behind them.
Wow.
But they're in traditional clothes with their cute little
baby goats?
Baby goats or baby lambs, I can't remember which. They were really sweet. If you go to any restaurants in the Cusco area, you will probably be offered one of these two drinks. Any ideas what this one is?
Bay leaf tea.
No.
Oh.
It's a coca leaf, and it's supposed to be really good for you if you have altitude sickness. And so since Cusco has a higher elevation, you can get this in most restaurants because it's supposed to help your body equalize with the altitude.
That's what cocoa leaves look like?
Coca. I think it's different. I don't think
it's
not like
cacao leaves, coca leaves.
Yeah. It's a different plant. But whatever it is, it's supposed to be really helpful. So that one or this one.
I don't know, but it doesn't look very well. Is it hot chocolate?
No.
Yeah, it doesn't look very good.
It's café con leche.
Oh.
Coffee with milk.
That was what I was wondering, but I thought maybe I would be wrong and maybe it was actually.
They do actually have a lot of hot chocolate too, but a lot of times they want to offer you this café con leche or this specialty.
I'll take the specialty.
I like this one a lot though. It's basically like a latte if you want to be specific.
Yeah.
Like speak the terms here, but it's pretty tasty. If you like coffee.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I have some more of our story to tell us.
Angie goes west?
Yes.
Yes.
So we talked a little bit about Angie's family and her twin sister, and then we said that she really liked to read something, and she loved to read about the Wild West, about the Western United States. She just thought it was so cool to learn about cowboys and how they lived with cattle all the time, and she just could not get enough of reading books about the West. And when she was in high school, she loved reading about the West so much that her dad took her to a rodeo, a real live rodeo, and she thought it was so cool. When she got home, she made her own little lasso and tried to practice like roping onto things, onto fences and stuff on her farm, because she just loved the Wild West so much. Now, her high school years weren't all just full of reading and fun and singing and stuff. There were some hard things too. And some of the hardest things for Angie were just dealing with how she looked and how it was different from everybody else. Do you remember way at the beginning of our story how when she was born, the doctor thought she was too sick and she wasn't going to make it? Well, because of that, she kind of had some deformities on her face, and she felt like she was really ugly. And she had to spend a lot of time getting to know who God is and understanding that He loves her. He loved her even though she didn't look just like everybody else. And that took her a little bit to learn. But after a while, she finally was able to understand that, and that God probably had a special job for her, even though she didn't look just like everybody else. And she felt like it was really important to tell everyone about God's love, and that they all needed to know that God loved them too, and that they were unique and special to God. Well, when Angie was in high school, or when she had finished high school, she went for a really long walk one day, and after the long walk, her legs were really aching, and then all of her muscles really, really hurt, and the next day she wasn't really sure what it was, and she went to a doctor and found out she had polio, which meant all of the muscles in her body were super, super tight. And a lot of times when people got polio, they would be paralyzed afterwards. And she thought, no, I already have these other problems. Part of her face was deformed, and she didn't want to be paralyzed either. But for weeks, doctors came and they helped rub her legs and her arms and try to get the circulation back into them. And after a while, she was able to get feeling back in her legs and her arms, but her left side of her body was still really weak, and some of it was a little bit paralyzed. So now this was even a little bit harder, but she decided, you know what, if God still wants to use me, He can use me even if I'm not perfect. Even if I don't have all the strength in both of my arms, God can still use my one really good arm and my one really good leg. And she still chose to look for the best. Well, pretty soon after she got better from polio, her mom got really sick. And so instead of going to college, Angie stayed with her mom, and she helped care for her for 10 years. And right before her mom died, Angie's brother was killed in an accident. So she lost her brother, and then she lost her mom, and they had to sell their family farm. So all of these things seemed to be going on in her life, and she didn't even get to go to college yet, and she just wondered, God, when am I going to get to serve you the way I thought I was going to serve you? Well, after all these things happened, she did go ahead and go on to college, and she worked really hard for 4 years so that she'd be able to pay off her schooling, and she worked hard to learn how to be a teacher so she could teach other people about the good news of the gospel and just teach in schools. So do you think Angie will ever get to go west and get to see what it's like? Well, if you know the title of her story, you know that she probably does. We'll have to come back next week and see what happens.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you don't have to come back next week to find out, because we already know from the title that she's going to go west.
Yeah, but maybe you don't know where she's going to go out west, or what she's going to do out
Guam. That's west.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we are going to tell you today a follow-up to a group that we told you about a couple weeks ago. So a couple weeks ago, well, maybe 3 weeks ago, we told you about our missions team that went down to Arizona. And now we're going to give you a little bit of an update because we had kind of an exciting week this week. And so Lighthouse Baptist Missions Team, now back home in Minnesota. Here's a picture of us, though, down in Scottsdale, Arizona. So this week, our church was supposed to do a VBS, but instead, we did something a little different. And we went to the park just like we did down in Arizona. We went on Sunday afternoon with several teens from our youth group, including some of those who went down to Arizona. And we went on Tuesday night and on Thursday night. And some of us wore the t-shirts that we had from our missions trip. And we handed out water, just like we did in Arizona. And we also handed out ice pops. And so here's a picture from Sunday afternoon. And we ran out of all of our ice pops on Sunday. I don't remember how many we had, but we went through a lot of them. Didn't quite run out of our water, but we did run out of our water on Tuesday and Thursday. But anyway, it was just a great time because we got to meet a lot of people. We got to make the days of a lot of kids. Yep. And this one guy actually on the far right of the picture wearing the blue shirt, his name is Josh. But his dad's name is also Josh, so he goes by Little Josh, or LJ for short. So that was something cool that I got to learn. It was exciting for us because there was a guy there who on Tuesday was there with his grandson, and he said, "So are you guys part of a group or something?" So I just got to start right off by saying, "Yeah, we're from Lighthouse Baptist Church," and got to talk to him for a while, and he said he wants to visit our church. So hopefully he does, and we can follow up with him. And there was another guy named Chase who we got to meet, and his family, and he expressed interest in visiting our national night out. And so yeah, we brought Jaden, of course. And one nice thing about that is when we're carrying around this little kid, we can go up to other families with little kids and we can start talking to them and ask them about their kids, and they can't help but like Jaden because he's always so smiley like this. So he makes it easier for us to meet new people. And there's another picture of him. But yeah, we just not only had a lot of fun handing out those things and playing basketball, but also just meeting new people from the area. Alyssa got to talk to some ladies as well. And also on Thursday night, as we left, there was a group of young people coming, and they were going to play games on the playground in the dark. But before they did, they all got freeze pops and said, "Oh, thank you." And we said that we hoped we'd see them again, and they said, "Yeah, we hope you do too." So that was really neat. But we were handing out postcards to people that look like this. That is the neighborhood across from our church, and we made a new webpage on our website where we list all these different events that are family-friendly things where they can come and join us. Not necessarily a church service, but just an event going on so that we can get to know them. And so we handed out a few of these, and we're also going to go to this neighborhood that you see in the picture and hand them out as well and invite them to some events coming up this fall. So you can pray for us that we would continue to, as a team, get together and have some good opportunities like this in our community. Pray that those who have expressed interest in our church would actually come and visit us so we can get to know them a little better. And just a praise for the contacts we've already made, and we'll see where God takes it next. So that's something that's exciting for us. We wanted to let you know how God has worked ever since coming back from the missions trip. Not just something we did down there, but something we want to continue here.
Yep. And we have something different today. Instead of a hidden object, we have an unhidden object, aka an object that was usually in our background, but it's not today. So hopefully you can find it.
Yep. And I don't know who's calling me, but that means we have to leave now.
Bye.